Good morning, everyone. Just getting up and out of the pool this morning. Lately, I've been considering what the term forgiveness means. I continually come back to say, what is forgiveness? Personally, it's created a lot of shame and confusion for me as a person, and it's, I suppose, in many ways compelled me to become a therapist in many ways. Let's talk about the term forgiveness. How many of you have ever heard the term you should forgive? It's better for you, it's healthy for you. There certainly is a lot of research out there validating that that forgiving is incredibly beneficial to your health. So I had to ask myself, what is forgiveness? I've heard this term a lot in studying to become a therapist. In all my research, I have certainly not run across a ton of literature when you look at therapeutic interventions and attachment research and literature. The term forgiveness does not necessarily come up a whole lot. So I wanted to delve into this because in my own personal life, I was soon discovering that I was experiencing a tremendous amount of anger. And that anger throughout my life, I noticed was generated, I couldn't tell, it generated towards people or towards myself. So in looking at term forgiveness, I began to climb into the research and quickly discovered that forgiveness is actually a verb. It's the act of changing affect, negative emotions, feelings, behaviors, motivations, changing those from a negative state, which generate negative feelings, all that stuff, into at least a neutral or a positive affective state. Now, what I find most interesting is that when we look at affective states, as a therapist, I quickly knew that, well, we have memories that are stored implicitly that are below our conscious mind, as well as feelings, negative thoughts, feelings, all those that exist in our conscious mind or our cortex. So when we talk about forgiveness, I think it quickly occurred to me that when people were telling me, Rob, well, you just need to forgive or let it go, that it's much more complicated than just a cognitive understanding. I've actually gone through and written things on pieces of paper, tied them to balloons, crumpled them up, put them in boxes to light on fire, all of those interventions to let it go. Unfortunately for me, waking up the next day or a day later, those negative feelings and affective states were still there, inevitably creating more shame for myself. So forgiveness, as I'm looking at it now, it's a more in-depth, complicated situation that has to involve certainly implicitly stored memories, as well as explicitly stored, those things that I can cognitively change. And engaging in relationship, I certainly understand, is an effective means to go towards those emotions. I have to feel safe and secure in relationships to be able to access what's implicitly stored. I mean, all of therapy is what? Making the unconscious conscious. So those things that are unconsciously stored, we need to be able to access in order to change those from a negative affective state to at least a neutral state. Yeah, forgiveness. Forgiveness is an investment. It's really hard to do because you have to go towards the emotions, those negative feelings that are even subconsciously there. We have to learn to access them in order to, quote unquote, change it. We have to neurologically change it. So, just wanted to talk about forgiveness. I think as we look at things, how many of you have ever struggled with the term forgiveness, or people giving you cliches about, well, you just need to forgive and let it go? Well, the research is indicating it's much more complicated. And getting with somebody who is a trained professional or understands how to access those things that are implicitly stored, then we can cognitively do those thinking things that can let them go. Okay, great, you guys. Well, see you next week.